What is going on in the South Florida real estate market? Things are changing quickly, and without market statistics, everything is an emotional answer. Today, we're going to dive in to Broward County's single-family home market, seeing what the perspective is, seeing what is year-over-year numbers, what is happening going into March 2025, because everything is changing. Stay tuned. My name's Lee Rosa, 20-year real estate vet, born and raised here in South Florida, real estate coach with Glover University, and this information is proprietary to our real estate company, and yet I'm going to share with you today, directly from the multiple listing service, exactly what's going on in the single family home market here in South Florida. First, we're going to dive into perspective. And if you like what you see, like, share, pass this along. And if you'd like a detailed breakdown of these statistics with me, simply hit the TidyCal link below, schedule a time for us to connect. It would be my pleasure to help you navigate this market, whether you're a buyer, seller, or real estate agent. Let's navigate together. Let's get into this. So the first thing we want to look at is the perspective of pre-COVID to current day. And what you could see is that the inventory is creeping up to pre-pandemic numbers, yet the month supply of inventory has jumped to 6.7 months. Now, what month supply of inventory means is the amount of months it will take to sell what is currently on the market if no other homes come on the market. A 5.5 month supply of inventory is a balanced market. A balanced market simply means that prices are maybe going up 1% or going down 1%, yet ultimately it's a balanced market. Prices are balanced, they're stable. And the farther away we are from 5.5 months, so 3 months is a hot seller's market, and 15 months would be a cool buyer's market. So simply 3 months of inventory would mean that every 3 months, inventory is turning over if no other homes come on the market. So when we're at 15 or 17 months, to get to a balanced market where prices are stable, we have to adjust the inventory at such a drastic level to have the inventory absorbed at a level that prices are stable. So at 17 months, what that simply means is that prices will have to adjust drastically to have more properties absorbed so that prices can be stable. And we're gonna dive into these statistics even more. So let's get back to this. Beautiful part of distressed sales is we're at literally 0. And yet here's the interesting number. So back in 2019, we had 5,700 properties. Now we have 5,200. With 5,700 properties, just over 1,000 closed in February of 2019, and with even less properties today, only 770 properties closed. So you can see less properties are being absorbed and there's less inventory. It would make sense that the more inventory there is, the more properties would be absorbed because there's more opportunity of inventory to be bought. With less inventory and less sales, we are marching in a direction in the single family home market of a cooling real estate market. Median sales price has almost doubled in 5 years. Almost doubled. That is part of this cooling off of the real estate market. Now, days on market have stayed the same, more price adjustments. 6 out of every 10 properties are dropping their price. 60 out of every 100 listings are dropping their price. And almost half of every property listed by a real estate agent is failing, meaning expired. So as a real estate agent, expired listings is absolutely the greatest opportunity for you to get your unfair share in this market we're going into. If you, as a real estate agent, would like more information on how you can crush the expired market, hit the TidyCal below, schedule a time. I built my real estate business on expired listings and I can help you too. Let's get back. So now we're looking at year in view. So 1 year trend. As you can see, the amount of properties that are available is up 1,438 from 3,756 on up to just under 5,200. And you can see that the inventory is slowly but surely just growing, while the amount of units closing is getting less and less and less. Stable over the last 2 months. However, the trend is moving in this direction, and you can see it here in the graph. Month supply of inventory. This is the statistic that I shared earlier that professional real estate agents have to understand and be able to help buyers and sellers navigate through. Being able to help clients understand that the month supply of inventory is vital. We go from 4.5 months a year ago to now 6.7. We went from a seller's market on up to now cooling off drastically. Now why? Prices, interest rates, and all of these factors. Now, expired listings. This is why for professional real estate agents, working expired listings can be your bread and butter. So let's look at these statistics year over year. I showed you the year in review. And let's look at this, median sales price right there, starting to adjust downward. Days on market, shooting up. Month supply of inventory, shot up. Year over year closings, down almost 10%. Amount of pendings, down, with more inventory, almost 40% more inventory. All of these statistics are all leading towards an adjustment in the market. Any real estate market happens gradually, suddenly. And the suddenly is usually when the media gets on top of it. When a professional real estate agent understands how to study the real estate market, they can help their clients navigate and get what they want when they want it by not giving an opinion and yet sharing exactly what's going on. Let's dive back in. This is the overview of the Broward County single-family home market. And as you can see, it's the tale of two markets. At around $500,000, the market shifts from a hot seller's market to a cooling and ice-cold luxury market. The South Florida luxury market, based on month supply of inventory, is absolutely pumped its brakes. Now why? Because there is something called the voluntary move-up paradigm. And the voluntary move-up paradigm is simply this, that when first-time homebuyers are not able to enter the market, the folks whose homes they would buy aren't able to move up to the next level of property. And so this takes years in a market to cool off, and yet at some point, it takes a catalyst to then have it start to come down. And in 2006-07, it was that the higher priced homes were purchased with silly loans, like interest-only loans, that then became due, and they weren't able to refinance because they didn't have the equity or the comparables to do so. Now, the good news in this market is the vast majority of folks who own real estate have very low interest rates and have plenty of equity as long as they didn't take it out early. In this case, it only takes one catalyst to now force homeowners to have to sell their property to have this catalyst happen. Because if there isn't equity to refinance, well then they have to sell. And that then creates distress and creates an adjustment down. I'm not saying that's gonna happen. What I am saying is look at the statistics. At $1 million, there are 635 active listings with 70 selling. So that's about 1 out of every 10 properties in Broward County at $1 million to $1.5 million that sell. 1 out of 10. When we come over here to 650,000 to 750, we got 600 properties with 92 selling. So we're about 15%. So what you're seeing now is 15 out of 100 are being absorbed. When I share absorption rate, what I want you to hear is month supply of inventory and absorption rate are two statistics that work hand in hand. Absorption rate at 20% is a balanced market, where 5.5 months of inventory is a balanced market. So the more absorption, the hotter the market, the less absorption, the cooler the market. And so a prime example is down here at 7 million, there is 148 properties with only 2 being absorbed every month, which is why month supply of inventory is at 74%. And in this price range, the real estate, land, and all improvements done to is the Hail Mary, is the variable that real estate agents lean on as the value, not necessarily the comparables, because most folks at these price ranges aren't getting appraisals. So the tale of two markets. We have at about 500,000, we're switching into a cooling to an ice cold market. And as you can see, there aren't too many properties under 400,000 available for home buyers. And yet the vast majority of those are being absorbed. So now let's look at month to month, meaning January to February of 2025, and then February over February, year over year. So there are less listings from January to February. January usually is a higher listing month because most folks are waiting till the next year to put their house on the market. Same amount of units closed, which is a great sign. More properties went pending in February, a great sign. All of this is great news. However, inventory is growing. Inventory is growing from January to February. Month supply of inventory is staying the same month to month. However, inventory is growing while what is closed has stayed stagnant. The amount of units failing is still about 50%. Half of everything on the market is not selling. So let's jump to year over year, February 2024 to February 2025. Look at the jump in failed listings, the amount of concessions sellers are offering. A seller concession is simply a negotiation tactic that helps a buyer keep more money in their pocket at closing. So the seller concedes a portion of their proceeds at closing so that the buyer can wrap their closing costs into their loan. So the buyer would have $10,000, $15,000, $20,000 more in their pocket and increase their monthly payment by wrapping in the closing costs over 30 years. So it becomes a tactic that will help sellers attract more buyers and helps buyers buy homes where there would be work that they need to put into the property or upgrades that they would want to put into the property to help more homes be attractive to home buyers. If you're a real estate agent or a home buyer would like to learn more about how seller concessions can help you or how to present them, hit my tiny cow below and I'd be more than happy to share with you exactly how to do that. Well, that's the end of Broward County's single-family home market statistics for February 2025. Stay tuned for the next episode, which will be Miami-Dade single-family homes coming up next.